If you haven't seen my last video, you probably do not know, but this is now a Percy Jackson stan account, which means that I'm going to be raving about Percy Jackson as much as I can for the foreseeable future. Let's get into it. Now, you may be wondering why now, like what has changed? Well, at the big ripe old age of 20 something, you do not need to know what it is, but it's 20 something. I have finally read the original Percy Jackson books, and I fell in love immediately. I am so hurt that I was deprived of these books when I was a child. But I guess now that I'm older and I can appreciate reading way more, I guess that is a plus. But yes, I've recently read the Percy Jackson books. I've fallen in love, and I am planning to read every single book in the Olympian universe because how could I not? But today, quite frankly, what we're going to be focusing on is those movies that they gave us in, what was it, 2010, 2015? I can't remember how long ago that was, and the series that is to follow. That's what we're going to be speaking on, because when I first watched the Percy Jackson movies, I actually said, oh, the first movie, I was just like, oh wow, this is actually good, and now I do want to read the books. And then I watched the second one, and I'm just like, it was okay, but it wasn't the best. And then, well, the Olympians in Camp HalfBlood, the readers, they came for our necks. They said that movie was a disgrace. How could they do that to the books? And I was just, sat there lost as someone who had not yet read the books. And I'm like, guys, I know that books are always better than movies, but they can't be that much better. You guys have to be exaggerating. You guys weren't exaggerating. You guys, having now read the books, I am thoroughly offended, because what the hell were those movies? What the hell were those movies? Let's actually break down like how bad those movies were and what they can do to make the TV series better, and what we are expecting them to do to make the TVs better, the TV series better. Okay, let's go. Okay, I've had a nice gulp of tea. Let's get into it. Now, guys, usually when I read books, I write down like my review in my actual like book journal, because let's be real, after we've read a fantasy book, we're not going to remember anything. Like, that's just a fact. We won't remember anything. Like, especially with a book like The Olympians that has so much like Greek lore and names and mythology, there's no way I was going to remember anything. But what's so funny is, like, usually when I write down my reviews, it's very organized. It's very concise, very methodical. I'm just like, okay, the plot, the pace, the characters, the story, the writing. I really go into it so that I can really remember what I noticed as I was reading. Now, I started doing that with the very first book, with The Lightning Thief. And then as I went on, it really was just cheeky comments, because the books are so fun that I did not care about being a serious reviewer anymore. It was all about the vibes. And that's one of the things I love about the books, and that's one of the things that the movie did not convey properly. The vibes were completely off. Like, they were just so off. But I think where the movie went wrong from the very get was casting teenagers. And actually, I think Logan Lerman, I think he was like 20 or something when he first starred in the very first movie, The Lightning Thief. So that is one thing that the TV series has already rectified, which has given me hope. The fact that they've actually casted children so that the series can start correctly, with Percy, Annabeth, and Grover being like 12, as they should have been. So watching the movies now, I don't understand where their mind was at, because that wasn't, it's not like we didn't have child actors back in the day. So what actually was the reason for that? It made no sense. And we've all agreed it made no sense. And thank you so much, Disney. Thank you so much, Rick, for correcting that for the TV series. I'm excited for that, Now, with them being casted older, that ruined so much of the film, because Percy being a 12-year-old, he had that like immaturity that made him enjoyable. Like, not the immaturity of a 2-year-old that, pulls tantrums every 2 minutes that gets you annoyed, but like the 12-year-old that has wit and banter, but at the same time is still immature because they don't know how the real world works. It's just that blend of, you actually have some common sense, but you're still 12, so you're still immature, that we find that makes, part of Percy's wit. And with them being teenagers, they just couldn't do that in the movie because you're a teenager. There are certain things that Percy says in this book that I just don't expect to come out of your mouth, okay? Or at least without the context of how Percy was as a 12-year-old, I don't expect to come out of your mouth. So from the very beginning, they ruined the movie the minute they casted a teenager. So we thank God that that has been rectified. So that's out of the way, you know? So we can hope to get Percy's wit. I'm very much looking for Percy to be as witty and as like chaotic in the mind as he is in the book. Now, in the books, you know that a lot of the things, especially when it comes to like witty remarks that Percy makes, he says it to himself in his head. But movies have usually been 50-50 in terms of like how well they translate that into movies, how well they give us like those translations, you know, so that the watchers can actually see what Percy's saying. Either sometimes they make them actually say it out loud, or they just do it in action or whatnot. Who knows? Or they can have like a narration, which I'm actually hoping that they do, because Percy's narration of the books are what makes the book. I am so sorry. Now, if you've not watched Dungeons and Dragons the movie, you have to go and watch it. It was a good film, but that was an example of like good narration, you know. So with Dungeons and Dragons, if you've ever played the game, you know, you have like a games master who's actually taking you through, and having, you know, him be the narrator in the movie really helps. So for the TV series, if they could have Percy narrating the TV series, that would actually be brilliant, simply because we would actually get all of those intrusive thoughts out into the open for the audience to hear. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I really hope that they do. So definitely hoping that they do that. Now, another factor, yeah, is the actual history of Percy. How do you mess up everything from the beginning? Oh my goodness, I don't know how they did it. So basically, in the books, as you know, Percy, he jumps from school every year, and he is going, to private school when we first meet him. In the books, like, that's not what happened. Percy's at home, and it's not right. I know, like, that's a really small detail, him being in private school, but for some reason, I feel like it definitely it actually made more sense, him being in private school and being away from his mom, not being able to explain to his mom the strange happenings that he occasionally sees. Back in that point in time, he didn't know that it was the mist that was erasing his memory or making him like shift what he saw in his head. But for you to be seeing weird things every day and then go to your mom, it just it didn't work out. Once again, just a small detail that I really hope they rectify. Just put him where he was at the very beginning, like, let's not play games. So that is one thing I need to get out of the way. Now, another very important detail, yeah, in the books that they really messed up in the movie, that I am so upset I didn't know about this until I read the books, is the claiming. Oh my flipping goodness. So if you read the books, you know what the claiming is. The fact that gods have to send some type of sign officially claiming their child, so that child can actually reside in the cabin that they're meant to reside in. Which is why the Hermes cabins have a lot of like strays, because a lot of gods don't claim them. And quite frankly, I don't even feel like the movie thoroughly explained that, because I don't remember that detail when I watched the movie. I just knew that the Hermes cabin had a lot of people. So, quite frankly, I need them to explain it, because that is a really pivotal detail throughout the entire series. The fact that the gods are not claiming their children, and you have a lot of stray gods, well, stray demigods out there. And you have the ones who are found are all just packed into one cabin, and even the ones who are claimed, they are still left feeling unloved. Like, so the claiming is very important, yeah? Not just the idea of the claiming, but the way that Percy's claiming happened, okay? So in the movie, we saw that, they were having the capture the flag battle, and he got, whipped and slashed and bleeding, and then he found himself at the ocean. And then he touched it miraculously, and then, like, he obviously was controlling water, and so they're just like, oh, he has to be the son of Poseidon. That's not how it happened. And the fact that this movie came out like 2012. I know it's around that time that it came out. So CGIing the way that the proper claiming happened wouldn't have been that hard for them, like, especially because you made water literally climb over his body. And the way that the claiming happened in the book was so simple, yeah? It was just a trident, a glowing trident over his head, okay? It wouldn't have been that hard to actually incorporate that. Like, I don't actually know why they removed that specific detail. I don't understand it. And even like the small events that occurred before the claiming, like when he got to Camp Half-Blood, the way he made the water attack Clarisse, and just small little details like that, and how he was just stronger in water, and how it was Annabeth who noticed, and even the fact that they kneeled to him because he was the son of one of the big threes when he officially got claimed. Even the ones who didn't dislike him from the beginning, they kneeled and say, "Hail the son of Poseidon." Like just small details like that really took away from the movie, the fact that they were not present. Now, speaking of Clarisse, yeah, why wasn't she present? I feel like Clarisse is one of those side characters who is important. Okay, she has to be present from the beginning, which she was in the books, but not so much in the film. The fact that they made Annabeth the one who was against him in the first movie and the one who was slashing him up. When I read the book and I realized that that didn't happen. Clarisse was the one who was attacking him. 2, he was on Annabeth's team. And 3, Annabeth was the one who suspected that he was Poseidon's son. Like, when I realized that they cocked up that part, I think that was the part where I really gave up on the movie being anywhere near accurate, you know? Because at the beginning, when he was at that private school, it was a small detail, a minor detail. I did not make that much of a big deal of it. Okay, that was small change. You know, it was small stuff. When you literally replace an entire character, or just remove their presence from the movie completely. Yes, she came back in the second, but her teasing Percy and her animosity towards Percy was a good like little point in the first book, and it really kind of built on in the series. But the minute that I saw that, and the person that they replaced her with was Annabeth of all people, when I saw that, I just knew that movie was trash, and this book is going to continue to show me that that movie was trash, and I was not wrong. That movie was trash, guys. Now, the very next detail that really, really, really shocked me when reading the book was the amount of trials in the book. So they go on their quest, and I said this in the last video where I explained like what I loved about the book, the fact that it's trial after trial after trial. They go through one trial and they have like 2 minutes to breathe before another trial comes and smacks them. And it makes the book really, really fun. But we go to the movie, and for some reason they give us about 2 trials, and the trials weren't even represented well. So I was so baffled and so annoyed. So in the TV series, 1, I expect the claiming to be properly explained, and I expect it to be properly done. If we do not see a glowing trident over Percy's head in the very first episode, we are going to have problems, Disney. You and I will have problems. I know I'm new to Camp Half-Blood, so, I probably do not have much of a voice here. But quite frankly, if I have to lead the rally against Disney for not giving us the proper claiming, I will do it if I have to. Because that is so essential, and I am not having it. I'm very much not having it, okay? And again, please have Clarisse introduced from the very first episode. Like, the TV series needs to incorporate all of the essential characters to the series, not just to like the first book. It's like when they made the movie, they weren't thinking ahead. They're just like, we don't know if we're going to get a sequel. If you made the movies accurate to the books and executed the movie properly, you would have made it all the way to 5 movies instead of 2, okay? But obviously that didn't happen, and we thank God, because who knows how else they would have ruined the series if they just continued going on. Thank goodness the series was canceled as a movie. Okay, so thank goodness that was done. And I understand with movies that you're just not able to incorporate every single detail of what happens in a book in a movie, which is very funny because it's a middle grade book, so it was fairly short. So quite frankly, I don't agree too much with that. But I understand, especially with a fantasy, a lot happens. You're not going to be able to incorporate everything. And with the amount of trials that happen in the book, I understand. You're definitely not going to be able to incorporate everything. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair game. Now that we have a TV series where, if you guys execute it well, it will go on for years. Disney, yeah, they have time, and they have money as well to execute the show properly, which means I expect every single trial, every single one. like the love boat, you know, that Percy and Annabeth got stuck in when they were on a mini quest for Ares, you know? That was fun and that was cute. And the fact that the gods were in Olympus out here watching them as if it was like pay-per-view television. Like, that's what made it funny as well. Like, it's just essential little details of each trial that were missing in the film that we need to see. Speaking of Ares now, guys, let me take another sip of my tea. Yeah, okay, let's get to this. So, in the movie, yeah, they they made it so that Luke was the enemy from the get. Obviously, we didn't find out until a bit later on when when you know the lightning bolt was revealed to be in the shield that he gave Percy. Sure. That's not too inaccurate. But it's the fact that Ares made no appearance in the first movie. Because Ares is the one who sent them to collect what they needed to collect in that, like, you know, pit of hell. You know, with the love boat and the amusement park, the whole thing that didn't appear in the movies. Now, I understand that because that entire trial didn't appear in the movies, they had no reason to put Ares. But Ares is the one who gave them clothes and transport so that they can go to Las Vegas, which is how they got stuck in that hotel that, with the lotus fruits. And obviously, what happened in the first book with Ares once again carries on for the rest of the series, because Ares then held a grudge towards the end of the first book, and it was just a long deal. And Ares became like a permanent enemy to Percy because of what happened in the first book. The fact that Ares didn't make any appearance means that we're missing an entire rivalry that was like essential to the entire series, because that rivalry then passed on to his daughter Clarisse, who was, as we already discussed, missing from the first movie. Like, they erased an entire bloodline, guys, from the first movie. Like, I just don't understand how they thought that this was going to work out. The people who made the first movie or the movie series, I don't understand how they thought this was going to work out. It was so bad. It was so bad. Yes. Luke and Ares, you know, had a collaboration, whatever. But Ares was doing the errands. I love how a god became the lapdog of a demigod, but funny, small things. So that part definitely irked me, that Ares did not make an appearance. Like, when I read that in the book, I'm just like, wait a minute, that's how this happened? I was so irritated. Super irritated. Now, speaking of Luke and Ares and their little collaboration. The trip to Hades. Guys, this was so terrible. This was so terribly done. Like, in the movie, it was so terribly done. Because, one, the way that they described Hades and getting to the river Styx and all that, they did not execute that in the movie well at all. Like, I will give them that. I will blame it on the technology back in the day, but still. There was that whole scene with the bag literally dragging Grover down to the pit, okay? Where the Titan was hiding and trying to capture Percy. That didn't happen. Now, the meeting with Hades. That's what in the heck, okay? That as well. Chaotic. Did not go as the book said in the movies. So all of these small details in the first season, which I'm assuming that the first season is going to, you know, be the incorporation of the first book. At least it better be. It's like all these missing details or changed details. The fact that Percy did not retrieve his mother when he went to Hades. That he didn't retrieve his mother then. Grover did not stay behind with Persephone. That didn't happen. Like, Persephone wasn't even that fond of, like, it was so many things were changed, guys, in the movie that I'm just so disappointed in, and it makes me upset. Even when they, like, went to actually get the passage to the river Styx, the actual, like, can we say that he was a doorman, a postman? Charon, you know, him. He was actually so funny in the book. Like, the fact that he was just like, hey, tell Hades I need a raise because I could definitely use a different suit. Like, that was such a cute little funny detail to me, and that didn't come through in the movie at all. And that's the thing with all the changes that the movie made, it ruined the entire vibe it ruined the entire vibe because characters were no longer the same. Percy, like his voice, like the voice of the character, you know, like his personality, like his moods, everything. That's changed the minute you change his age. Like his whole entire personality has changed. The Percy in the movie kind of seemed a bit stiff when I actually read the book. I'm just like that. The Percy in the book was wild. He was such a chaotic child because like he's a child who's definitely led by his intrusive thoughts, and you can't even blame it on the ADHD. You can't. He was just led by his intrusive thoughts, and that's so funny to me. The movie Percy, I was just like, he just seemed like he was awkward for the entire ride. And don't get me wrong, remember what I said? I enjoyed the movie, but like comparing the movie Percy to the book Percy, I'm just like, I don't know what this was. I don't know what this was. And because like as a 16-year-old, I'm guessing you're less awkward than you would be at 12. So once again, the age. But then even changing Hades' personality, Persephone's personality, Charon's personality, like changing everyone's personality like this is just so off. Even Luke in the book, Luke was different. Luke was different. Luke Luke was different in the book to the Luke that they gave us. And I'm upset. I'm really just upset. Like going through this again and comparing like the movies to the books, it's making me upset because I remember reading this book for the first time, guys. All I could think about for like at the beginning of the book was how different this was to the movie I saw as a kid. I'm just like so disappointed because I'm like, this was the movie I enjoyed. And I felt so betrayed because that movie sucks now. Now that I look back at it, I'm like, this movie sucked. as an adaptation of the book, it sucked. As a movie on its own, it was okay. But yeah, all these small details, I just expect them to come through in the TV series because as a TV series, you have more episodes, so you can actually take time to incorporate little details that you couldn't, I guess, put in the movie because you didn't have time. Just small things. And now that we're in 2023. I expect the graphics to be on point. The movie graphics weren't that bad. But once again, what was the reason for not including the claiming? And the only thing I can think of is that you would claim that you guys did not have the technology, but you very much did because this was a fantasy movie and you guys were incorporating like monsters and all types of magic in there. So honestly, they had no reason. So all the small details that were missing, all the trials that were missing, I expect them to make an appearance in that TV series, guys. But let me know, like, what else in the first book are you like expecting to see in the TV series that you will riot for? Like, you will riot if it's not in there because TV series just we all. As readers, we go into like movies and TV series terrified because we just know that they're going to butcher characters that we love, butcher magic systems that we love, butcher locations and palaces and just grand structures that we love, butcher storylines and plots that we love. And it's so hurtful. And I think it's so funny that even though they do butcher it, we still go into those movies and we go into them hopeful and then we come out disappointed. Like we go into those TV series and we're hoping because the amount of books, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know, maybe because book talk became a big thing during the pandemic, but I don't know why so many books are being adapted in TV series and films recently. Like we have had like 20 announcements of so many books being turned into TV series and films. And should we be happy? Should we be excited? Like I know that a lot of them are like fiction, so all you can mess up is like storyline and plot, which is big, but you can't really mess up magic systems and costumes and appearances and stuff like that, which they can do with fantasy. So like we just have more on the line. Like there are more stakes on the line when it comes to fantasy books because that's another thing. The creatures, the monsters, the places that they go to, the mythology. They're like I want to see them like properly portrayed. You have money, Disney. I don't want to see poor costumes. I don't want to see poor magic, okay? Stop playing with us, okay? I know that I know that I'm new to Camp Half-Blood, but I guess I'm in that phase where you're like new and everything is Camp Half-Blood and all your energy is going into it and you're just like fully in love. Like the honeymoon stage. And that's great for me because I can now put all my energy to like a roasting Disney if this show does not bang the way it's meant to bang, okay? But yeah, guys, that is literally just an analysis of what I'm expecting from the first season because I'm expecting the first season to adapt the first book alone. That is that. Like, imagine what can be happening with the second book, the third book, where things get more enticing, where things are more detailed, where more characters come in, where more creatures and mythology come in. Like, imagine if we make it past season 1. But yeah, guys, tell me what you are looking forward to for the show, like what you're looking forward to being rectified from the movie, what you're looking forward to being included, like just what you are looking forward to in the hope that you have for this movie. And let's all gather together and pray that our hopes come to pass. Because wow, I feel so bad that you guys had to suffer through that movie when it first came out, because I was just living life. I was just enjoying a good movie. And now that I've read it, I realize it was not a good movie, and I'm sorry. But yeah, guys, it's going to be a trip, but we'll get through this together. And remember, if they do not do this correctly, if it's not executed and adapted properly, we ride at dawn, okay? We ride at dawn. That is not a joke. We will all collect together in every country that we possibly can, and we will raid whatever Disney headquarters is in that country. We will do it. Me being in the UK, we in the UK will raid London. We can do it, guys. We'll do it together. But that is it for me, guys. See you next time. And like I said, this is now a Percy Jackson Stan account. So next time, most likely will be a Percy Jackson review or commentary. But who knows? I might just shift the play just a bit. But until next time, guys, see you soon. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe.